on to fight 4 of the afternoon. Entering the cage first into the red corner, Max Pearson.
Max Pearson representing Rising Crane in the first B-class MMA fight that we're going to have today. B-class amateur at lightweight, 70 kilograms. Max Pearson will not be able to benefit from head strikes on the ground, but Rising Crane guys always come with a really well-rounded style.
Someone threw it well.
We know that Rising Crane are a bit unique in that most martial arts come from a Japanese origin. Rising Crane, they focus on the Chinese origin, so within Chinese boxing, Chinese wrestling, Chinese kung fu. They focus on it all under head coach Dave Rogers, who's classed as like a Sifu, a Chinese master. He's also an acupuncturist, so might help with the recovery from those hard training sessions.
And Chris, I've given Chinese martial arts a hard time in my day. Sifu what, black sash this, I never understood. However, I do understand that something that has endured for thousands of years is definitely worthwhile and a bit of study. And some of these guys have some amazing footwork and some incredible abilities with their hands. So let's look for some of that.
And we've seen Rising Crane previously on Battle Arena, and they always do well.
And his opponent into the blue corner, Dan Nghiem.
So another Chinese background. So it's SLK, Sil Lum Kun, which is under another Sifu coach, Lee Wolford, and they are located in Bedworth, and they really focus on Chinese kickboxing, and then they've kind of converted that into K1 style kickboxing.
So they're rolling with the times, going with what's popular and where you're going to get competitions. That's some of my criticism of the Chinese arts, is that you don't see kung fu competitions all around. These people are not getting as much experience if they're sticking with their set discipline, if they're being a bit of a fundamentalist. So now, obviously, with SLK MMA switching over to competing in K1, these guys are going to have the experience that they need to bring themselves up to the next level.
And this is, battle of the Chinese origin martial arts in this fight. Or fighters.
Introducing first the fighter in the red corner, weighing 17.4 kilograms, fighting out of Rising Crane MMA, Max Pearson. And his opponent, the fighter in the blue corner, weighing 17.1 kilograms, fighting out of SLK MMA, Dan Nghiem. This contest will be fought on the B-class rules, so there's no headshots for ground opponent. And your referee in charge is Lee Hasdale.
All right, Lee Hasdale, very experienced and MMA pioneer himself here in Britain.
I want one of those SLK red t-shirts.
I would like medium husky myself, actually. But Dan Nghiem, he really looks like he's just really eyes wide, ready to go. Try to go for a show. They come in with big swings, does Dan Nghiem.
Oh, this is some powerful striking.
Excellent, Max Pearson with the overhand. A little bit of a tussle there, a little bit of squeeze. A knee up the middle.
That could have been, that must have just grazed.
Good over-under position here. This is, again, we're in a bit of a wrestling tussle here, and for you watching at home, what I'd like to see from Max Pearson is to get his head inside the chin and up and under the chin of Dan Nghiem, so that he can actually control the upper body, because where the head goes, the body has to go. But he's got a good lock, and he looks to take him down and just can't quite get to that knee trip that he needed. He needed to go for that cutback. But he looks to break off and have an overhand right. Very cheeky, Max Pearson. But Nghiem comes forward, smashing his left hands, lefts and rights, and a knee up the middle. He's mixing it up well as Dan Nghiem.
Dan has got some serious power in those hands. And Max wisely closing the distance, smothering his techniques.
Max looks to have double underhooks here. He's trying to bring in that body, but again, double underhooks are very hard to actually use. Or used to throw your opponent to the ground. So he's trying to use those heel strikes.
We know
can be
that
painful.
Dan's background is a bit more K1, striking heavy, whereas Max's background is a little bit more grappling in there. So maybe this is a wise decision from him, trying to tie it up, maybe get this fight to the floor.
Maybe indeed. Dan Nghiem doing well to squeeze over the head, but he might be going for a head and arm throw or like a schoolyard headlock there, but he breaks off. Dan Nghiem good with the defense. Lefts and rights, and he's backing up Pearson into the cage.
On that driving forward, Max is actually landing a lot of shots. Dan's got to be careful. He's coming forward a bit wild. He is
might
throwing
step
some
into
power
something. Again, they're against the cage. Max doing well to kind of stave off Dan Nghiem attacks by pressing him here into the cage, by maybe slowing him down, making him fight with his shoulders, and try to fight for inside control, because that can really slow down your punches.
We're seeing Max dominating in these wrestling exchanges, but as soon as they break, Dan just throws some huge power shots. It's like issues with the lighting.
Somebody's setting the mood right now. Maybe it's time for somebody to take it to the ground.
Time for some grappling.
There we go. Dan pushing off again, looking to push and make space, and he needs to connect. He needs to do something after that.
Yeah, I think Dan is probably the stronger of the two fighters, but he doesn't have the wrestling technique, that kind of core strength to get out of this position.
Yeah, maybe just a lack of experience in that. Maybe he just needs to widen his discipline range. He's got double overs, which he could use to push Max back and set up some of those knees that he likes.
I think Max is being wise. He's just being busy enough that the referee's not going to break it and put them back in the middle. Staying active.
10-second warning.
Throws the little kicks. And he's probably done enough to win this round. In the octagon control, he's been a bit more dominant. He's coming forward. It's just Dan is so dangerous on that break.
That cage control seemed to be the story there.
This is the fourth fight we've seen tonight, and the first time we've seen round 2.
Yes.
Been a night of action.
Good. It's lasted a little while. There's a bit more drama in this one. We're invested in the fighters. I know some people are cheering for Dan Nghem's style of throwing down, just standing there and banging. You should point to the middle of that cage and make Max Pearson meet him there. But Max Pearson, on the other hand, he's coming in with a grappling heavy style, and he's ready to throw down himself. He just needs to take it to the mat. Max needs to take that extra step, get him to the mat, and maybe work some of his submissions, because that seems to be where he's going to be successful.
Oh,
good kick to come out, and he's getting in those.
Max has got to get this takedown.
Max is loving it, loving it. This is wild.
Big shots by Dan.
Big kicks, and he's switching levels. They're running all over this cage.
Well, I think that we had some technical difficulties between rounds, which meant they had long breaks, so both fighters have come out fresh for round 2, throwing bombs again.
They've charged their batteries, guys, that's for sure. It's like one of those old remote control cars. Start getting a little bit slow towards the end of a round. We've charged them back up. They're back to 88 miles per hour.
Max is just still with that. He's more dominant in these clinches. He's got better pressure, better control. He's uses that over-under position, always double unders at the moment. And Dan, he looks a bit lost in these exchanges.
Dan's doing the right thing here, actually. He's lifting up that leg.
Oh,
he is.
Oh, great
really,
takedown.
Really
just as I criticise this wrestling.
Yep.
Oh, but now Max on the bottom looking to tie up that arm. Is he looking for an armbar from the bottom? It's an unusual way to set it up, but it's perfectly possible. If he can pull that arm through, get his leg across Dan's head, he might have an armbar. And that's what he's looking for. It's going to be hard to finish from this position.
I thought he was opening up for an omoplata, but it was really, really good position. And Dan saying, hey, I'm still here.
Dan scoring points, though. Gets the points for the takedown.
Max is looking to come over the top with that lead right hook and then step off to the same side. So Dan could be able to catch that shortly.
Dan needs to stop stepping in with those power shots, because he lands them, but then he's already on his toes straight into that grappling exchange. He needs to use some range in those strikes. Too much marching forward.
Agreed.
Maybe some Western boxing mixed with that Chinese boxing.
Yep. No, this is not a game of single shots. I say that right now, but then again, it's, you watch Harvey Stacey just kick somebody into oblivion earlier today, kick Faisal into oblivion, and everybody wants that one shot, that one hit wonder, really. But these guys got to be looking at it as a game of 100 strikes, a game of 1,000 strikes, and that's what we're going to be seeing today. Hopefully, looking to pick him up again. One time lucky.
This has been an interesting fight, this battle of Chinese martial artists. Maybe we've mixed in some Western wrestling.
Western wrestling? I want some Greco wrestling. These guys just keep getting
Greek
into
wrestling. Some Brazilian jiu-jitsu, maybe. Oh, great knee by Max.
Oh,
what
amazing.
a hit throw.
Amazing throw. Just went with it. That was great. Honestly, with those two takedowns, Dan Nghiem might be taking this fight right now.
There might be a round each, though. Max was just controlling most of the first round.
What a way to go into the third, if it does go into the third. What a way. Max is a little bit high up with his guard. I'd like to see him not focus on the striking so much and look to get that that bottom knee out and maybe set up a triangle.
He's looking to work from the bottom. It's so frustrating when you're a grappler and that cage is right behind you because you can't move in the way you normally would. You can't transition out of it. You can't move away the way that we want to. It's very difficult.
Big double.
Drive
Pearson steal it right now with a big slam in the last 5 seconds of the round. Wow. Wow.
So impressed by the power.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing to run him right across the cage and look for the takedown. Never giving up. Dan Nghiem going to have to make something happen in this final round. I think you cannot leave it up to the judges if I was Dan Nghiem, because that takedown there at the very end might be what sticks in their mind.
What an exciting second round. I thought we might end up with the same. I thought that Max would just hold Dan against the cage again, but no. Dan mixed it up. Some nice trips, some nice wrestling of his own. In space, Dan is doing a really good job of wrestling. So when they're pressed up against the cage, it's almost like Max has done just that little bit more cage work. Maybe they got a judo mats against the wall in their gym and they can practice it a little bit more. And Dan's just not so comfortable in that aspect of the fight.
Yeah, if Dan can get used to reversing that position against the cage, he would be doing very well. But like you were saying earlier, Chris, Dan Nghiem is really stepping into his punches. He's really heavy after he throws some of his strikes, which is allowing Pearson to close the distance and press him against the cage.
Excited for round 3. It could legitimately be a round apiece. Who will get a takedown? Who will land a big shot? Who's got the better cardio? Dan marching forward. He does too much marching forward. This is what's costing him. He ends up in these tie-ups. He's getting the better of the striking, but he's the one closing the distance.
Max has got that trip. If he just pinches his knees, he could really arch him backwards here.
Will Max get behind him? Oh, great use of those double underhooks to control it.
He's got excellent cage control, and that is one of the criteria that the judges are looking for. Who is using the cage most effectively? Who is using the space most effectively? And right now, Max Pearson is doing that here in this 3rd round.
Steve, what does Dan need to do from here to get rid of these double underhooks?
The first thing that I tell all my students, all my wrestlers to do, is to clinch over top, so get a double overhook position and try to get your head under the chin of your opponent. Use your head, fight a bit, not necessarily dirty, but make it gritty. Use your forehead. That's what your head's there for. You got to use it like a ram.
And that kills the hips, does it? Makes it difficult to close the drive in with your hips, drop for the leg.
Really hot. Well, when your head's up there, when somebody's head is under your chin.
Huge
excellent
kick by Dan.
Kick. Amazing. And Dan's
Max is in trouble, but Max counters with a great front kick of his own and a nice little footwork.
Max is using that teep, that kind of front step kick, that front push kick, to great effect. And there we saw flurries of brilliance from Dan Nghiem right there. It was just incredible. That moment of the fight, it was an incredible feverish pace there. But then Max Pearson driving him into the cage again, controlling.
Yeah, and he's being aggressive in these controls as well. He's not just holding him there to win the round. He's throwing knees. He's being active. The referee's trying to force the action just a little bit because this is the 3rd round. We want to see these guys, see if one of them can get a finish, but...
Oh, good single leg here from Max Pearson. I'd like to see his head come to the outside and for him to chest pressure down, but he abandons that to tie up the upper body again.
And how do the judges see that? Do they see the single leg attempt, or do they see the defense from Dan?
Oh, Lee Haskell's separating them. Big stepping kick.
Oh, great little transition by Max to the back. Slipped under his arm. Going for that takedown. This is the story of the fight, though. Max just can't finish these takedowns. And Dan with a beautiful overhead throw.
Again!
Oh, Max is on top, though. What a wonderful transition by Max to end up in side control.
This fight is all and knees to the body.
Max has got to stay on top now. He's got to try and pinch out this round, but Dan's done a fantastic job of escaping, getting back to his knees.
It's right now who wants it more, with the seconds dwindling down here in the 3rd round. It's just an incredible moment. Can Max really needs to duck out. If Max can duck, look to daylight, look upwards and get that single. His head's on the outside, drop his shoulder down, look for the trip. Excellent work.
I'm so glad I'm not a judge in this fight. This is going to be a hard one to call. Anyone's fight. Max has had such good control, but Dan has been amazing in moments.
And as the seconds round down,
and Max is finishing on top. That does have an effect in the judges' eyes when they see who finishes on top.
And he did the same thing in the 2nd round. So what can we get? What are we going to get from the judges? We wait with bated breath.
This is exciting. This is what Battle Arena is all about. Top UK gyms. 1st round seemed fairly clearly Max. 2nd round, clearly Dan. 3rd one, some big moments from Dan, but then a lot of control from Max. He ended up on top, ended up in that side control position. I just don't want to be a judge for that. Go to Carsten. He will have the judge's decision.
gentlemen, make some noise for these two young fighters. What a great contest. So after 3 great rounds of action, we go to your judges' scorecard. And we have a split decision for your winner. From the red corner, Matt Pearson! And please make some noise for the runner-up, Dan Nghiem. Matt. Hi everybody, how are you feeling after that 3 tough rounds there?
Really good. He's a tough fighter, and he was striking me. He was striking me, so I had to push him against the ground most of the time. We had a good fight, so.
Yeah, real close, so split decision, so it was real tough. You didn't have some big shots, but you managed to go through that, you know, get the ground game working and get them points on the judges' scorecards.
Yeah, in the future I'll have to take this experience and use it to better myself, hopefully, get a better score, and win by a further mile.
Well, you're a young lad, so you've got plenty of time ahead of you. Ladies and gentlemen, make some more noise for your winner, Max